The office meeting room was bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, its large windows overlooking a city in the final throes of a busy workday. The buzz of conversations from the day had faded, leaving only the quiet hum of a few late workers. Inside, two colleagues sat deep in conversation. Laura Harper, a sharp, dynamic leader in her mid-30s, was known for her innovative approach to team management. Across from her sat Chris Bennett, a seasoned executive who had spent years mastering the subtleties of leadership communication. Their discussion had naturally shifted toward an important topic: how communication shapes leadership.
I've been thinking a lot about how I communicate with my team. With everything moving so fast, I sometimes worry that my messages don't always get through the way I intend. It's easy to give instructions, but harder to make sure they resonate. What do you think is the most important aspect of communication for a leader?
Communication is key, no question about it. But it's not just about what you say, it's about how it's received. Do you think clarity is the most important thing, or is it more about engaging your team on a deeper level? Question: do you think clarity is the most crucial aspect of leadership communication? Or is engaging your team emotionally just as important? A. Clarity is essential. Without it, nothing else matters. B. Engaging your team emotionally is equally important, if not more so. C. Both are crucial. Communication needs to be clear but also connect on an emotional level.
Answer C. Both are crucial. Communication needs to be clear but also connect on an emotional level. I think it's a combination of both. You have to be clear so people know what's expected of them, but if you don't connect emotionally, the message might not stick. People need to feel like they're part of something bigger, and that's what gets them invested in the work.
Exactly. You can have the clearest instructions in the world, but if your team doesn't feel connected to the goal, they'll just go through the motions. When you communicate with both logic and emotion, you not only guide your team but also inspire them.
The shadows from the tall buildings outside stretched longer across the room as the evening settled in. Laura leaned back in her chair, her mind turning over Chris' words. The conversation had shifted her perspective on how she approached communication with her team, making her think beyond just giving direction.
One thing I've noticed is that when there's pressure or stress in the team, my communication style changes. I get more direct, which sometimes works, but other times it seems to add to the tension. I wonder, is there a way to adjust how we communicate under pressure, or is it just about staying consistent no matter what?
That's a good point. Stress affects everyone differently, but for leaders, it's even more critical because the team follows your lead. Do you think it's more important to adapt your style based on the situation, or should you strive for consistency regardless of the circumstances?
Question: should a leader adapt their communication style depending on the situation or strive for consistency at all times? A. Consistency is key. Your team needs to know what to expect from you. B. Adaptability is more important. Different situations call for different approaches. C. There's a balance, consistency in values, but flexibility in delivery.
Answer. C. There's a balance. Consistency in values, but flexibility in delivery. I'd say there's a balance to strike. Your values and principles should remain consistent, but the way you communicate might need to shift depending on the situation. When things are stressful, people sometimes need more reassurance, while other times they need you to be more decisive. It's about knowing when to switch gears.
That's so true. I've noticed that when I'm calm, my team tends to stay calm, even under pressure. But if I let my frustration show, it ripples out to everyone. I guess being adaptable in how I approach each situation while staying true to my core message is something I need to work on.
The sky outside had deepened into a rich, dark blue as the last remnants of sunlight disappeared. The office was mostly quiet now, with only the occasional sound of keyboards clicking in the distance. Laura glanced at the clock, feeling the weight of the day, but also a sense of clarity as their conversation continued.
Another challenge I've seen is when leaders try to communicate with every team member in the same way. But not everyone responds to the same style. Some people need more details, while others prefer a big picture overview. Do you think it's important to tailor your communication to each individual? Or should you expect them to adapt to your style?
I've struggled with that before. I've noticed that some people want every detail laid out, while others just want the highlights and the freedom to run with it. But I'm not sure where the balance is. How much should I adapt to them, and how much should they adapt to me?
Question. Is it better for a leader to adapt their communication style to each team member? Or should the team adjust to the leader's preferred style? A. Leaders should adapt to each team member's communication preferences. B. Team members should adjust to the leader's communication style. C. It's a mix. Leaders should adapt but also set expectations for the team.
Answer C. It's a mix. Leaders should adapt but also set expectations for the team. I think it's a mix. It's important to meet your team where they are, especially if it helps them perform better. But at the same time, you need to set clear expectations so that everyone's on the same page. If the communication is one-sided, the balance is off.
Exactly. Leadership is a two-way street. You need to be flexible enough to adapt to your team's needs, but also clear about how you prefer to communicate. That way, they know what you expect, and you can get the best out of them.
The office lights flickered as the automatic timers began turning them off for the night. Laura stood, gathering her things, feeling more confident about how she could improve her communication as a leader. Chris leaned back in his chair, watching her with a quiet smile, knowing their conversation had given her some new tools to use with her team.
Thanks for this, Chris. I think I've been too focused on getting things done and not enough on how I'm getting them done. I've got some ideas now on how to improve my communication.
You're already ahead of the game. Just remember, communication isn't just about the words, it's about connection. When you lead through connection, everything else falls into place.
As Laura left the office, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that refining her communication skills would make her not just a better leader, but someone her team could trust and connect with on a deeper level. 5 words related to leadership communication.
Clarity. The ability to convey ideas in a way that is easily understood. Engagement. Creating emotional connection through communication that motivates and inspires.
Adaptability. Adjusting communication style based on different situations and team members. Consistency. Maintaining a clear and steady message, regardless of the circumstances.
Empathy. Understanding and considering the feelings and perspectives of others when communicating.